spotlight's on. Do you see it? Feel the pressure? You okay?
A little bit, yeah. That's okay.
Okay, you're okay. You're okay. Well, let's start off. Let's start off with. Why don't you tell my listeners what you had for breakfast this morning?
Breakfast. That's a good question. Just some breads with butter and something on it. Nothing special. Usually we have kind of either soup or something else, but yeah, that was something special for today.
Okay. Now, any kind of jams on that, or are you just going to like the butter
style?
No.
We actually not very kind of French style. We like to have everything sour, not sweet. So,
okay.
Sometimes we prefer to have like even soup, but nothing very very sweet. Yeah.
All right. How about a beverage to go with that? Would you have to drink with that? You go with some orange juice. You have coffee.
Yeah, coffee. It's a major thing. Yeah, definitely. Okay. We have like espresso style. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, awesome. Well, I think we're sounding good. Why don't we jump right into it as to why we're actually talking? So, why don't you tell my listeners, one, who you are, and what you raised money for over on Kickstarter?
Right. My name is Marek Cieśla, and I might say I'm a serial entrepreneur. And like 2 years ago, I just raised more than $300K US at Kickstarter and 50K pre-orders afterwards, because we had this idea with my colleague that, our office was actually in the center of Krakow, where all the restaurants, all the coffee shops and stuff. And my partner, he kept forgetting things every time, when we left the, coffee shop or some lunch place. So we just figured out that, we need to have something that, first of all, will notify us, if he does this, so we can come back and, get back his either keys or cards or just the wallet. And we just figured out that was the time where, we knew that Bluetooth Low Energy actually allows actually to put inside this PCB inside the wallet, connect with your smartphone and get this notification. So what we did, we just designed kind of just a pattern and just one wallet, actually even without electronics inside. And we just got some two angels that decided to back us up, for the campaign. We set up a company in Delaware, and after 3 months of very heavy lifting, we call it MVA, minimum viable audience, for that, we decided to actually launch the campaign. So we spent about $30K US, but most of it, went for legal services, because we had to, have the company and stuff. And for the PR actually, that was our first kind of encounter with PR in the States, and actually we failed with that because, we spent a lot of money, but we didn't get any outcome. But we decided to actually to do everything from scratch, doing, building the database, all the things that I believe So once we launched it, that was a very interesting thing, because a week before our launch at Kickstarter, another guy from New York actually launched his campaign with smart wallet. And that was like, oh my God, and his wallet was even cheaper than ours. And his graphics was great. Everything was better than ours. But the thing is that we had something that he didn't have. First of all, we figured out that Kickstarter is the bunch of people that, they try to find something very unique, something very kind of like a one-off. And within all these smart wallets on that time during campaigns, we just figured out that we just put one small thing, the technology that will enable people to touch it. Not only touch it, but press a wallet and create like a micro, energy, kind of push that will enable the battery actually work better and longer. This is kind of very small thing that just kind of like a, kind of like a perpetuum mobile, like something that is always working itself. But in that case, actually, it's never working. It's just having this kind of impression that, I have something that nobody has. So, and that was it. And of course, we spent a lot of money just for very nice visuals. I mean, the pictures, the photos was kind of like just amazing. So, and the video we just shot here was really nice. So that was a great pull, for what we did. And like 1 week once we run it, the guy from New York came to us and said, "Hey guys, I need to quit my campaign because you already raised more than I did, and I just let's work out somehow." I would just put information on my campaign that I'm closing, and if someone would like to have this kind of wallet, we redirect it to your campaign, and this worked out as well. And we got very nice coverage in TechCrunch and other places. Of course, no one wants to talk about smart wallets till everyone's ensured that we reach the goal. So we actually reached the goal within 24 hours. And that was kind of like something, wow, these guys actually, did something kind of impossible. So it's worth actually to mention about them. And that was it. I mean, we went this through, we finished the campaign. And of course, the hard work came because, having this electronics and the app and everything like that was a challenge. And that was a huge challenge for us. So for the campaign, that was it.
Very cool. Very, very cool. How long was the process in terms of like developing prototypes or, getting the wallet to do what you wanted it to do? How long was that process?
Actually, the process to be honest, started after the campaign because we didn't know that, this would be successful or not. But of course, we knew we had already mock-ups, how the app will look like and stuff like this. But we just, we didn't know that the Bluetooth Low Energy, it's a very kind of tricky technology. I mean, and it's not only tricky because it's kind of unstable, but it's tricky because there's lots of variables that can to the moment of experiencing this kind of technologies, like you're jamming the signal when you put your wallet inside your pockets because your body can actually jam it. Another thing is when Apple or Android is actually meddling with the software and trying to switch off and switch on the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, is actually losing the signal. When it's losing the signal, you get false notifications like, "Hey, you left your wallet behind, but you still have it with you." So this kind of I don't want to swear, but there was a big issue on it. I mean, till we got to the point where from the UX perspective, we just worked out and we actually killed, a few functions because they didn't work well. Not because we didn't do it right, but because of the technology and because of the different circumstances. Just giving an example, if someone was actually using the app in a place like shopping mall, and if there was like free internet access, and was using this free internet access, and this internet actually was provided not by the local service but from the place where it was like 200 kilometers away, a major server, and the system actually couldn't recognize it, so it was like telling, "Hey, if you are 2 kilometers away, so it means that you're away from your wallet," and it gives you the false notifications. So there was lots of things that came to us, and that was disaster. And this disaster actually, we figured out that we have to reinvent our product again. And that actually, we did this actually after launching the first product, and we got like a Wallet 2.0. Mm-hmm. And Wallet 2.0 actually was totally different because what we did, we cut off all the credentials, so we don't need to log in or whatever. It's like nothing stored in the cloud. Yeah, so we just forget about it. We decided to just keep it very simple. So only when the app is on is working, but if it's in the background, actually we just kill the process. So everyone needs to know that if you want to play with it, you need to make sure that the app is on. But if it's put in the background, it will not work. But simplifying the process, we just made people happy. And of course, they treated the wallet not as a kind of commodity, but something like a gadget, because if they wanted to, to show off and to actually to show something, like, I don't know, like a remote selfie, or like, touching the, where exactly the, the car is actually at the parking lot, and, all the stuff, they were doing this using just the open app. So
Right.
instead of trying to, work with people in the app that works in the background, we said, hey, we just cut this off and we just only focus on things that you can fully control it. Of course, it won't work like people sometimes they expect,
Mm-hmm.
but if it's working, it works very well. So we didn't get any bad feedback, or we had a lot of chargebacks because people were not happy with the app. And once we put the new version, simplifying everything, everyone was happy, and we went very well with it.
That's great. That's great. What, and throughout that whole process, what is it that like you particularly are working on in that? Are you helping with those designs in the app and all that sort of stuff, or are you helping still with marketing or customer relations? Like, what is it that you are working on mostly?
Thing is that because of this wallet campaign was very successful, I was kind of asked to help with any other projects. And I just raised some money for Shirley Box, which is kind of like a Dropbox but behind your firewall. It's like a hardware with easy, so you can just press it and you can sync with your laptop. It's like using BitTorrent but with the hardware. Yeah.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
It's not like BitTorrent that when you close your laptop, nothing goes. Yeah.
Right.
But if you have your your hard drive still on, it's so simple, so you can share files, whatever, and you just keep it kind of like a host. And we raised for that like $150K US. That was a pure B2B product that we turned into B2C, because we know that Kickstarter doesn't allow. I mean, there's no B2B business on Kickstarter, so we had to turn this into B2C. And so that was that's it. Later came guys, that they make kind of like a watch, Swimo called, and we raised $180K US for that. And the Swimo is actually now his top seller, and still is is number one. I mean, the one thing that was kind of like a very cool about it was that, I don't know if you were how people try to lose weight. I mean, they have kind of this kind of a technology that when they run, and they got this information that if you run in this kind of mode, you can burn the calories faster. Yeah.
Right.
You need to get inside the window, but the problem was how to put this window when you swim. So what he did, he actually used special vibrations inside the watch. So once you swim it, you can get kind of like a kicks, like swim faster or slower, to keep you inside the this kind of like a we call it burning brackets. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
right.
we raised 180K, and because we knew how to build this MBA, invite audience, we decided to run very successful like a pre-launch. So the funny thing, that was the first campaign when we raised more money later after Kickstarter than during Kickstarter, because when we finished Kickstarter for the pre-ordering, we raised $280K US. It's like more than during the campaign. So and more companies that were coming to me. So I was actually focusing on just actually making this happen, using on one hand the grow hacks, using the companies from different countries, from the States, from Israel, from to create all the ecosystem having. And eventually we just set up a new company in the States called Indie Designers. That is kind of like a middleman for European companies that would like to run a Kickstarter campaign without need of setting own company or having own bank account and stuff like this. So we already put through this like 26 campaigns. The last one, that was a game that raised 170K. So overall, we put through like about 30 campaigns so far. So this is something I was working on. And regarding the wallet, where we now we actually just totally, cut off with the first version of Wallet, and we moved the manufacture to China just to make sure that we can lower the cost, still having our design, our app, our stuff, but that would give us actually better margin and better opportunity to sell it, so we can lower the price. So that's where we are.
That's very cool. What do you find is the is there a common thread between all those campaigns that you were talking about that makes them successful as opposed to not successful? Like what is it that you see as like a standard thing that happens on each campaign that really makes them go well?
That's a good question. I think, for the last, 10 years, I was actually most of, working on something like how to build a brand and attributes around it. We used to use the jobs to be done framework, actually to prepare campaigns and products for launch. So we figured out that it's not only about technology. It's not about only solving the problem, as we think, but it's something magical, which we call it pull, which means that it's like a brand awareness or attributes that surrounds that. For instance, where it comes from, if the product will be delivered faster or or later, all the stuff that actually is not related to the technology, but it's related to the kind of our imagination, how we actually will be better of using that product in front of others. So we actually totally changed the approach. So just give you an example. When we were running, shooting the last campaign for Kickstarter, we had this scene where there is a guy, very young, nice-looking guy, approaching the bar where there's a nice lady, and of course he forgets the wallet, but he does notification and he comes back. But the idea about it was actually not about solving this problem, but about giving, on a piece of paper, a phone number to the guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, and the smile of that woman. So it's like giving this kind of like an image where it's not that the wallet is not about solving the problem, but it's about having a very cool girlfriend, picking up a girlfriend, having this relationship. It's like completely different things. So we try to actually making all these campaigns the way that we're trying to figure out what's different than technology actually can attract people. And we actually work on that using the right copy and, graphics and stuff like this. So this is, we call it a pool. And when we had all the campaigns so far, and of course we failed many times, and we got successful many times, but we figured out that there's like a few factors that actually can distinct the failure campaign from the successful one. So, and first of all, the successful campaign needs to have like a good branding and good community, but good standing community. Maybe small, but it's good standing. It means that like community that people know the founders, not the product. We always putting the founders in front of the campaign, not the product. If there is only product, so it's very hard. But if there is like John Smith, coming up in front and telling, "Hey, that was my idea. That was I just dreamt about this product for a long time," and he really is sincerely selling this to the public. When people would believe not what he does, but in him, he'll be kind of successful. So we're trying to gather the people and put this to the special channels where we can work with them, but on a different, like a personal, matter. So this is always what we do. If there is a startup that has nothing like this, it's a huge possibility that it will fail, because this is like taking the product from the shop and putting to Kickstarter. Nothing. There's no magic. There's nothing distinctive on it. It's So there's one thing, and second, if we call it social proof. So if there is no enough, social proof, so people are not talking about it, we call it remarketing till death. So it means that everywhere people need to talk about your stuff, in all medias, especially, the bloggers, the social media, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere, press, technology, everywhere. So this is something that is very important to for people, because people are afraid of two things. That's a normal thing. So if you don't have, long-standing, brand, when you need to actually figure out how to create kind of like impression that everyone knows about, this product.
Yeah.
So, and the last is just mathematics. So, or statistics, I'd say. So we have this kind of rule that we usually, when we build this big database of users, we trying to figure out what's the user acquisition cost. I mean, user acquisition costs regarding having an email of that person with double opt-in. Yeah. So what we do, we're trying to put like a KPI that the user acquisition cost is like $1 per email.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that we aim. So the first phase, what we do, we're trying to figure out what's the user acquisition cost, especially knowing that we have people at Kickstarter and different ones. So if we get user acquisition costs at the level of $5, we try to actually skip the paid, ads. We're trying to figure out if we can go to, to YouTubers, to influencers, to other actually, places actually to try to, because this is something which is very important. We need to figure out where we can scale up, the business, which channel actually is working, which is not. So if it's working, this is only one step. And the next steps, we having this kind of, we call it strategy that we explain to the clients, where imagine if you have like spent $10,000 to acquire 10,000 emails, where user acquisition cost is, $1. We know from our experience that, especially with the brands where are not well known, the conversion during the first day of Kickstarter is between 2 and 8%. Usually we take 4, just to make sure. So imagine we have 10,000 emails gathered, and the conversion is 4%. So we have 400, conversions. So now let's check if the pledge is about $100. We get 40,000 from it. So we spend 10,000, 40,000, comes to us. But what will happen if the pledge is, is not, for instance, 100, but $20? We're losing the market. We know there's no way how to scale it. So we need to actually figure out all these kind of things for that. But plus there is one more thing. Once we got this user acquisition cost, what we can do, we can actually try to work out on the conversion rate, and we can do by onboarding process. So it means that warming up all this, database can create the conversion from 4% to 8% during the first day. So imagine having all this time at the same time, spending all the money, $10,000 for the database, and 8% conversion, we have 80,000, coming to us. So it's totally different, but having, spend the same money. So this is, we try to talk to our clients, what we try to do, with our brands and project spin-offs, that we need to, first of all, figure out what's the best channel, how to warm them up, who is the face that will warm them up, what to do about it, and eventually we just run it that way. So this is the kind of like a secret sauce we use.
Yeah. That's a formula over here as well. That's how we get our campaigns to be successful. Is you've got to build that. You got to build a crowd, right? Database crowd, like it's called crowdfunding. Like if you don't, the amount of people who are like, I don't understand why. I thought I would just put it on the internet and Kickstarter would just give me a bunch of money.
If you want to do crowdfunding, just build a crowd. Yes, that's the simplest thing. I mean, people are asking, how to do crowdfunding. Build the crowds, yeah.
Yeah, you got to build the crowd. So step one. Yeah, it's funny. What projects do you think don't do well on Kickstarter? Like what are things that are just not right for it? I know you kind of mentioned B2B, and I agree that B2B is, it doesn't work real well, but
B2B, yeah.
But what really but is there a category or just something that you just kind of typically stay away from, that you just are, square peg round hole?
Usually, actually, I stay away from from all the arts and movies, for instance. This is something that requires like names that come with it. If you know Steven Spielberg, there is no way actually you can raise a lot of money.
Right.
You need to get the name, you need to get like attributes of of other brands coming with the projects. And that's one thing. Second thing is doing local projects. So for instance, if we do international business and someone comes to me like recently, one guy called me up and said, hey, can I help him out to raise money for a new like a hotel close to Auschwitz, in Poland. I said, come on, man.
Yeah.
You want to raise money, over there when you have, the business in here doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? It's like, we need to make sure that whatever you do the business, you need to do in that particular place. For instance, we have like own in Poland, crowdfunding platforms that we can raise a lot of money. But he really wanted to have in Kickstarter because he thought that because all the Jewish people in especially New York will be able to spend money for that. Right. I said, come on, it doesn't work that way. Maybe they even don't use the crowdfunding. They use like. I mean, it's lots of people think that Kickstarter can actually will solve all the problems, but the major problem I have with them, they think that they can raise money for production and marketing, which is not true. You can either this and that, especially the best actually to have money for marketing and just raise for manufacture. So this is the best. And and of course, as I said, I had some failures, during in campaigns. I mean, it doesn't mean I didn't raise money, but I didn't raise enough money. For instance, I just got like a brand called CrossLift because I was doing CrossFit for a long time, and I just figured out that doing the squats and stuff, I couldn't find the right jeans to put on. So I decided to have a Kickstarter where we were taking the measurement, and everyone can take measurement, and we were just doing the custom jeans for them. So I just hired some guys in India. I sent all the branding and stuff. So, I was able to do exactly the perfect, jeans fitting every ass, ever.
Right.
But I did exit with it. But but the problem, the major problem I just encountered during the campaign, I just too much narrow the audience. That was the learning curve. So instead of actually telling that it's not only for CrossFit guys, but it's actually for any gym guys, for cycling guys, for doing any activities, very comfortable jeans, even for women. I just put men and CrossFit. So I really narrowed it down. Of course, I raise money, but instead of like raising 150K, I raised, 20 or 25. So that was, from my perspective, that was a disaster. So and still that was a learning curve. So I knew that we need to get something that, the audience will be, bigger than just a small one.
Yeah. How do you feel that the this world pandemic that we're dealing with is affecting Kickstarter? Do you see any effects on it?
Yes. We have already here a few clients that actually they really wanted to run Kickstarter, but they kind of afraid. They're putting everything, let's wait. Yeah, let's wait. But what I'm trying to tell them is like, come on. It's like if you will wait and everyone is waiting, so when everything is over, it's like there will be overpopulated Kickstarter. So even if your project is great, you will be actually pushed to the next positions, because it works this way that every day something new is coming and it's pushing you, to different, position. So now, in my opinion, is the best time for Kickstarter. First of all, people have more time. Of course, I know that they don't have money and they don't spend, but still, we're talking about specific people at Kickstarter, which is different than, a normal, e-commerce. Because people over there, they actually, I'm not telling that they're very wealthy, but they always have money. Because if you have money for gadgets, it means that, this is not something that you need to have. This is, you would like to show off with or stuff like this. So they will always have money. So I think this is the best time for Kickstarter, in my opinion. And during this period, we raised 170K for one game. Yesterday I spoke with another guy. He really wants to do another game. We got guys coming yesterday, came to me because they have especially like a kind of very cool dish for a dog that can kind of like I don't want to talk a lot about it, but there's lots of kind of cool projects, and I'm trying to tell them that actually now is the best time for this, because you have fewer projects on Kickstarter, and you can stay longer within the first, like, instead of 3 days, you can stay maybe 5 days in front of the community. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about the staying in the top of the search feed longer, because there's not as many. There's just not as many campaigns right now. That's a good point. That's very, very good point. What is there sort of attributes that you look for from the CEO or the founder that you feel like they need to have to be successful, right? Like, do they need to be hands-on? Do they need to be hands-off? Do they need to be a part of the community? Do they need to be good at social media? What do they need to do to be successful?
That's a very valid, good question. The thing is that I met many companies, many startups where they had kind of like a huge disproportion of what they can bring to what kind of value they can bring to the startup. So for instance, you had only technical people, or you had just only business people. So I think the best actually have this both combination. So you cannot do the thing without technology, but still actually the business need to be, every startup need to be business driven. So if something is sellable, you need to just follow this. But I know I was working with different startups where the technology, the startup was driven by technology. So they didn't care about business, if they make money on it, because they got like millions of dollars, from investors. That's my precious, product. Let's do it. I don't care about what people think. If I would sell it, I don't care about it. I would like to just, focus on my product. But that's the problem, because they don't think about branding. They don't think about building MVA. They don't think about doing the other things, because it's not the product technology is selling, but the brand is selling, because brand is something more than this. It's a service, it's a community, it's a how long is on the market, how to big trust is actually put inside this. There's lots of other things, but not technology. It's like always I'm trying to tell to those people that if someone is want to buy a Mercedes-Benz, it's actually usually thinking about this Mercedes-Benz not as something that's got very cool technology inside. Maybe that nice lady will never check inside what is under the hood. Will just the experience of riding and having this very cool, nice shiny stuff it works for her. So that's my opinion, is the worst thing about the technology products, especially when they believe that technology is supposed to be number one. And when I talk to them and try to show that Kickstarter can have actually a different approach, sometimes I have fights with them, and one of the reasons we fail with many companies like that, because they said, I have so much great product and everyone will love it because I love it,
right?
And that's kind of approach.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir on that one. That is that is number one issue over here, is I made it, so everybody's going to love it. Everybody will buy this thing. And then I'm like, but nobody, go ask 3 of your friends. They probably don't even know what Kickstarter is. Oh yeah, I know. Is that GoFundMe thing? Yeah. So just right there. It's amazing. So how about, you kind of mentioned just around, like that pre-launch of building a crowd, building a database. Mm-hmm. Is there a general metric though that you try to hit for every client, or is it product specific? Is it, hey, we always want to try to get 10,000 email addresses, or sometimes 5,000 is enough, or sometimes we want to get 30,000 emails? Like, is there a formula or a metric you're trying to get to, or are you just kind of going by the math makes sense?
There is of course there is math behind it, but the major metrics is how strong your brand is. So just to give an example, if there CG project, the guys that made the Witcher, would come to me and say, I would like to do the Witcher 4 on Kickstarter. I could just tell them, hey guys, you just don't need to spend any money. You just tell to your community, we have millions of people. Everyone just watch it on Netflix, The Witcher, and everyone knows that, yeah? So just do this. And they will raise lots of money, doing nothing, not spending any single penny on that. But at the same time, if someone else will come to me and say, I would like to do like a new game, without having all this community, without this brand and stuff like this, he will fail. So I cannot put exactly the same metrics to the people that have the brand, the community, and all this stuff, and then someone who is actually freshman is like trying to build everything from scratch.
Right.
But everyone thinks in the way, as I said before. So this is the first thing when I talk to the guys. If you don't have strong brand, you can either build this community around you, the crowd, or find someone who can actually lend you this crowd. So to give an example, we had the guys, here that they run Kickstarter, but they didn't get a lot of money. But what they had the kind of like a cube for the gamers. So when there's lots of gaming stuff like a board gaming things on Kickstarter, and what they did, they talked to the guy that was like a blogger at YouTube, having lots of people in this area about the gamers, right. And they said to him, hey, we'll give you 20% of the revenue from Kickstarter, but you need to be our advocate. You need to talk about this to your community. You need to, right. And they use this brand, they use exactly this, and there is lots of money. Yeah. So it's all about brand and community. So it's either you have money and time and you build everything from scratch, or you're just trying to find like alliance, with other people, with other brands, or with other communities, whatever. It's like this is something we try to work out with with our clients.
Yeah, very, very cool. Is there something too around? Does every project in your mind have to be running some sort of pay-per-click? Do they have to be paying something to Facebook and Google, and do they have to be doing some sort of advertisement?
As I said, there's no need if there is an already made community. So we just, right. Yesterday I spoke with one guy who just wanted to run a campaign. He already was running in Poland, and he raised like 200K Polish zloty. He wanted to do exactly, but in US dollars. It's 200K is like 50K US dollars. So okay. For kind of no-name game, it was kind of okay. It's like there was no board game. There was just regular one, very kind of basic. So I really checked what was the success of the company. And the thing is that what they did, they talked to some guy on YouTube that was doing like a rapper, and he was like talking about this project on YouTube and to this community. He had actually like 56,000 subscribers only. Wow. But that was actually enough actually to make the pool for that project. So that was actually exactly what I could have I could have done if I had no money.
Right.
So there is no need for ads if you have this kind of things. But if you do a proper campaign, you need to figure out, first of all, make a test flight for that and figure out if you can scale it up or you cannot. If the user acquisition costs like $1 or $5. And I remember we had this one campaign called Baldur. It was like intelligent lamp with Siri support and very cool stuff. The thing is that the user acquisition cost using the ads on Facebook was like $7, and we didn't know what to do. And it was like a total disaster. And we thought that we will not go for Kickstarter, but actually the founder of that project said that let's try it, use the Instagram, and we started to contact kind of influencers over there, and they started the shoutcast, and we spent like a $600 up to $900 for some influencers on Instagram, and they had like a 2.3 million followers, and that gave us traffic that the user acquisition cost reached about 5 cents per email. 5
Wow.
cents. We never ever after that got this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that showed us that from $7 to 5 cents, that was amazing.
Right.
We just utilized only this one channel on Instagram, which is, Facebook. We used exactly Instagram and this particular, channel, and we raised $10 within 2 hours. Once we launch on Kickstarter, only from this channel, and that was amazing.
Yeah, that's totally great. Well, where can people reach out to you? How can they connect with you if they want to, potentially work with you or learn more? Like, how can they connect with you?
I usually, focus on the European companies.
Okay.
First of all, they come into me because, as I said, I have a company in the States that is kind of like a middleman, can help out, to run campaign. And even if they don't need my services, they would like to use this kind of service just to, to be launched over there. That's one thing. Secondly, because I think in the region, I raise kind of, I don't know, there's like $2 million overall on the campaigns, and we had like 30 campaigns, and people like talk to each other about, hey, this guy can help you out, and I just run some personal blog, about how to do stuff, how to do product launch, and yeah, this is something I'm doing for the last time, and either I'm just helping the companies, or I'm just helping the B2B business, like sell the products before it's ready. This is kind of my specialty, and usually people try to do reference to what I did before that. That's the reason I have the leads and the clients come to me.
Awesome. Well, Mark, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know you're busy, and this is a great conversation, and I know my listeners are going to totally eat it up because we definitely got to get into a little bit more of the weeds than typical episodes. So I appreciate you talking to all of us and giving us all your knowledge of what works and what doesn't on the platform Kickstarter. So thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.